The big story that we are getting to you on headlines tonight, we are exposing the deceit of the DGCA, and joining us on this story this evening is Captain Mohan Ranganathan. He's an aviation expert joining us from Chennai, as well as Headlines Today's Vikas Mishra. But before we get you inputs from both these gentlemen, let's begin with the year 2003. The DGCA report on classification of accidents indicated that there were no accidents that took place that year. But the International Civil Aviation Organization report for 2005 highlights substantial damage to a Jet Airways flight after touchdown on the Mumbai runway. My colleague Gaurav Sawant brings us more. In fact, Gaurav will take you through exactly what happened on the 25th of March 2003 and how it was cleverly covered up.
Thank you very much, Padmaja. There are 4 instances that we are going to bring to light. 4 instances of how the scene of crime was actually covered up. Let's talk about the 25th of March incident first. This was in 2003. It was a Jet Airways flight. Now, this aircraft was damaged. You're looking at this aircraft on your television screen. There was a severe damage to this aircraft after touchdown at the Mumbai airport. Not some godforsaken runway. This was at the Mumbai airport. This aircraft is said to have swerved off the runway. It came to a halt on one side of the runway. Now, the International Civil Aviation Organization has termed this damage as substantial. The DGCA, for some reason, made absolutely no mention of it in its 2003 report. And this is just one part of the story. We have 4 such stories on the show today.
In fact, Gaurav, that's the reason why we are questioning the contradiction that is out in the open for everyone to see. The big question is, who is lying? This is what the DGCA needs to explain. If what the ICAO is saying and observing from the pictures and the damage that the aircraft has suffered, why has no report of this mishap been registered, and why has the facts of the case not been reflected in its report? If you also look at the DGCA report of 2005, once again, the Indian Civil Aviation Watchdog has unequivocally stated in its report that no accident took place through the year by airline operators, but the ICAO file highlights the mishap that took place on the 9th of October that year by an Air Sahara aircraft. Gaurav, in fact, is standing by with more details of what happened to that Air Sahara aircraft.
Indeed. Let's now talk about what took place on the 9th of October in 2005, and look at the pictures behind me. This is an Air Sahara aircraft, and this picture made headlines across the country. Damaged because it overran the runway, and that's a serious incident that takes place if the aircraft overshoots the runway. If you look, the aircraft has serious damage. Again, no mention of this accident in the DGCA report. The question once again is the DGCA, and why did the DGCA not find it important to mention this in its report?
And so here's the obvious contradiction that emerges. Why has the DGCA not admitted to this mishap being an accident? This despite the ICAO's report as well as those telling images you just saw on your screens.
First of all, what is an accident? What is the notification process? And what are the various models of investigation? In the ICAO, there is an annex called Annex 13. There also, it talks about aircraft accident investigation. And there also there is a definition. Now, there is a slight difference in definition between the ICAO and our aircraft rules. The purpose of investigation is to find out the cause of the incident or the accident, so that we can, in our safety program management, use those experiences to find out what is the cause and then what could be the remedial measure.
Let me go across now to Captain Mohan Ranganathan, civil aviation expert joining us from Chennai. Vikas Mishra, my colleague, is also standing by in Mumbai. Captain Ranganathan, I want to take your first reaction on what can only be called subterfuge and deceit on the part of the DGCA.
Now, we just heard the former DG talking about, the definition. There is no difference in the definition in ICAO Annex 13 and the Indian aircraft rules. You see, what they are trying to hide behind, there is a section in the ICAO rules which talks of serious incidents, and they talk of examples of serious incidents, but there is a qualifying statement in that. It says what does not qualify as an accident. Like a runway excursion or an overrun. It comes in the list of serious incidents. But then if the same aircraft has been damaged or someone is injured, this comes under the classification of accident. So what the DGCA has been doing all these years is anything that happens, they'll just hide behind a serious incident or cover it up as a minor incident. So that is how they've been hiding the facts so that the statistics look very bright that India has had no accidents. But when you see broken aircraft which are completely scrapped and they've been hiding this for years, and that is the reason why we continue to have safety deficiencies and they claim that nothing is wrong, nothing has happened, we are safe. No, that is just a misnomer.
Absolutely. In fact, just look at that image on your screen right now, that Kingfisher aircraft. It is just about total, but if we have to believe the DGCA, this is only an incident and not an accident. This is the level to which the DGCA has gone, only to cover up the facts. Because have you been able to speak to the DGCA? What explanation do they have to offer? Why did they try and cover up these very serious accidents only by changing the name?
Absolutely, Padmaja. The first time we started investigating the story, I also learned that just the first motive was to keep the civil aviation data clean, that there is no accident which has taken place in several years. But when I investigated more, there's at one point also came from the DGCA sources. They say that when they mention it as an incident, there is no strict investigation which take place. But when they mention it as an accident, there have to be strict action which has to be strict investigation has to take place, and the person responsible have to be put to task. So several times just go slow on several individuals, either pilot, ATC officials, or people involved in the accident rather. So they mentioned it as incident. So it is not only about keeping the data clean, it is also about letting people go off who are responsible for this. Padmaja.
Absolutely. In fact, Captain Ranganathan, a quick question I would like to pose to you. As a flyer, I would think that when something like this is categorized only as an incident, the real problem which led to a mishap would not be addressed. So chances are the next time also I would be in similar danger. Am I correct in that assessment?
Absolutely. Now, let me give you an example. In 2006, you had an air deck in ATR which went off the runway in Bangalore HAL airport. It bounced several times. It was a hard landing, landed on the nose. It swerved off to the side and it was written off. If they had conducted a proper investigation, come out with why it took place, what was the reason, and addressed it. So the whole purpose of an accident in the investigation is to prevent another one. Exactly a year later, a Jet Airways aircraft did the same thing in Indore, went off the runway. That was also written off. And the manufacturers that come out with a procedure for bounce landing recovery, and Jet Airways distributed that to pilots 1.5 months after that accident. And the DGCA did not even question the airline. And you had another hard landing of an ATR in Chandigarh. It is the same thing. So it keeps on repeating because they hide the facts and they don't come with what is the correct procedure. So you have a question mark on training.
Absolutely. So essentially, as someone who flies, you would be hoping that DGCA would address the problem. What their formula is to brush it under the carpet. Captain Ranganathan, we gave you 2 examples of when the DGCA lied to you about horrible accidents. Now we bring you 2 more. This is a jet. This is in fact a Deccan Aviation aircraft that suffered intense damage on the 11th of March. But the DGCA would have us believe that this wasn't an accident. This was not even reported, despite the aircraft being almost completely destroyed. And finally, let me give you one more example of what the DGCA has been hiding from you all along. The ICAO report says that this Kingfisher aircraft collided with a dog and the nose undercarriage was completely destroyed. But DGCA report actually called it an incident first, but under pressure they were forced to recategorize it as an accident. Mr. Ranganathan, Captain Ranganathan, a final question that I want to ask you. Exactly who monitors the civil aviation watchdog? Who ensures that this sort of deceit doesn't take place in the future?
You see, the problem is that like from the Safety Council, we are supposed to monitor, but for the last 1 year, they just have chosen to ignore all of us because they don't like to be told that they are doing something wrong. So they just do what they feel like. Like if you look at the 2006 ICAO audit report also, there's one sentence which is slipped past everyone. The team has said that in a short time, they have based their assessment only on what was given to them, what was shown to them. So in 10 days, if you don't show them the facts and you just show doctored documents,
right,
you will definitely get a clean report.
Absolutely.
And that is exactly what they are trying all the time.
And that's what they have been trying all this while. But this time, we have uncovered their lie. We're going to keep up the pressure. Captain Mohan Ranganathan, thank you very much for joining us. We're completely out of time, but we hope to hear from you later in the day as well on Headlines. Thanks also to my colleague, Vikas Mishra.